what's your describe your level of disappointment not getting through the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, before that, I want to say a massive thank you to our supporters. I think that's the first thing that I want to start with because they've showed up for us all year. They showed up for us whenever it looked like we were completely out of the picture. They showed up for us whenever we obviously instilled a little bit of hope back in them to give ourselves a chance to push through. And I don't think we showed up enough for them this year, especially at home. So, I mean, that's number one. Second thing is just thanking the staff. The staff has worked incredibly hard this year to deal with a lot of different things, different challenges at different times. And I really commend the staff, especially my coaching staff, Zach Prince, Alex Martinez, Cody Mizell. These guys have worked incredibly hard. And to answer your question about disappointment, I mean, I don't know that I can put that into words right now. It's something that I recognize was a possibility on the night. I was in a different seat last year and felt what it was like to push through, and some other results went the direction for us last year, and then this year it's the opposite. We had a chance to solidify it, and we didn't do that. So it's a high degree of disappointment. But I have to say, I heard a lot of people saying that they were really proud of what we're doing in 2024, and I think we took some steps, but we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go to get to where I want to see this club be. And tonight was, I think, getting a little feedback here. I don't know. Tonight was just a reminder of that. So that's how I feel right now.
You had a lot of possession and a lot of chances in the first half. How do you break down the ability to hit that goal, that breakthrough goal in the first half, and then what turned in the second?
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault us for the way that we pushed the match. We pushed the match incredibly hard, especially in the first half, and we felt like we needed to do that. I mean, we knew that a draw would get us through, but that wasn't the mentality that we wanted to carry, and you could see that from the way that the guys went after the game. But then, we got a little bit loose in the second half, and I don't just mean because we gave up 3 goals, but the discipline that's required in order to get results, to get you in the playoffs and go beyond that, it requires a lot more than that. And again, if we reflect on the entire year, we haven't displayed enough of that discipline at the right time.
Troy, you've spent, I think, quite a bit of your pressers this year talking about instilling the culture that you want to see in the group going forward. Obviously, you also mentioned that there are some things you want to see next year. You see a long way to go ahead. Beyond the discipline that you just mentioned, are there other traits that you're looking for that maybe were exemplified tonight or not exemplified tonight that you're looking for next year?
Yeah, I mean, before turning the page to next year, I just want to have a little bit of time to debrief and close the chapter for 2024 for my staff, for my players. So, I mean, I think there's plenty for us to work on, and many things come to mind, but I'm not going to answer that question in the best way right now if I think about what's going to happen moving forward. But when we think about the things we were trying to do this year, the culture, the environment, the style of play, I think you see a lot of that. But do you see it all the time, every time? That's where I want to see that day in, day out. And I know that whenever we displayed that this year, we got some great results. But we didn't do it enough over the course of 34 matches, and it left us tied on points, and we're out because of goal differential.
Not late in the game, but you made the triple sub. Obviously, it's kind of, you have to throw everything at it to try and get the equalizer. What did you want, other than changing the personnel, what were you looking for that group to change in the approach, other than maybe urgency as well?
Yeah, I mean, we needed to obviously go for it at that stage. But again, I think when I look at myself, I also think that I had to give a little bit more structure to the group in that stage of the game. And we lost our structure, and then the game got really wide open. So I'll take responsibility for that. I'll tell you whenever I need to take that level of accountability, and that's how I felt whenever the game got open. That's on me.
Yeah, Coach, I know it's immediate, but the message, I guess this one doesn't work. Just the message that you gave the team after the match. What was it like in the locker room? What did you say to them? I know it's so immediate after a loss and at the end of the season, but the thoughts that you had?
I just told them that from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, one thing that we try to do is we always come together. No one's walking off on their own with their own agenda. And that's a hard thing to do whenever you lose a match at the end of especially at the end of a season, and everyone's stuck together. And there's a lot to be learned in terms of, when things don't go your way. When you display that type of mentality, that says a lot about your integrity. And furthermore, we wanted to face our fans through this failure, and that's what it is. It's a hard failure, but we have to say that, and we have to own that.
You have a season where you get to the League's Cup and you guys needed to really go on a run down the stretch. You guys put yourself in a position. We talked Thursday about playing in the game that matters at the end of the season. It didn't go your way, but what can you say about the fight and grit that this team had to get to this position to have a chance to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the resiliency of the group. They throughout many times, I think a lot of people said, okay, the season's done with, and this group isn't going to have a chance. And really, it started from the beginning of the year. I mean, most of the predictions were for us to just finish bottom of the table. And, there's a reason for that, too, by the way. It's not just because people don't like DC United. We have to improve the history of this club over the last 5 seasons now. We haven't been a part of the postseason. And so I think we fought through that. But, again, there's no silver lining in that. We've made some progress in some areas, but we have to make a lot more in order to get this place back to the state it should be.
Troy, United finishes with just 4 victories at home in regular season competition. You talk about changing the culture and the environment. What about that change includes improving at home? You guys have played very, very well. Historically, this team has not performed well away from home, yet that was the opposite this year, where you guys struggled at home, and away you guys got good results. So what about that culture change involves performing better at home?
I think there's a few components to that. It's a hard one to answer with just one idea. I think there's some things internally we're going to look at about how we prepare on the day of a match at home. But also, I just connecting with the fans. I continue to do that. We spend a lot of time, I've spent a lot of time with the supporters this year and just tried for them to know who I am, and I want to know who they are. And I think when you connect like that, it makes you want to fight even more for the group that you're playing for. And so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to double down on our efforts to invest in them because they've invested so much in us. But I don't think it's just down to one thing, though. There's many things that go into improving the home form, and these are just a couple of them.
Yeah, you've developed a large number of very good young players this season. Stroud, Morel, Hopkins, Atkimboni. You can go down the list. I was at the game last week when the academy played. They were impressive. They were confident. They were coordinated. They were synchronized. It was like, this is a real pro team. How do you see that feeding into your system?
Yeah, we were second in the league this year in terms of players that are under 22 years old that play significant minutes, and we want to continue to instill that. That's part of the integration that we want to have. And so again, we have a ways to go to get that streamlined identity from top to bottom, but we're working every day at it.
And last one from Jose.
Troy, can you kind of explain, in terms of what was it like down on pitch side with you and the other coaches as results are coming in? How are you feeding that to the players? And how much of that influenced some of the changes you made in the second half?
Yeah, whenever we went down a goal, we knew the other results. And so at that point, we had to push even more to try to get something out of it. And I think the only thing that really changed at that stage was whenever potentially there was a goal scored and it was 2-2. But that didn't really affect anything that was happening at the time for us because of the score line in the match. So I was aware of the scores, and that obviously influenced us trying to really go for the game whenever we were down. But that's what was going on for the most part. All right. Thank you, guys.